Let's create the ultimate Dragon Ball villain that the young Goku would love to go up against. And we would love to watch. Hey folks, MasakoX here. So, cast your mind back to 2019. If you were around here back then, of course. Do you remember how we came up with the likes of the construction crew? That was fun, wasn't it? For those of you new to the channel though, first of all I'd like to say welcome, but secondly, let me fill you in. These folks are our team of baddies that we felt might be a good set of baddies for Goku and the Super Gang to face, which are true to the original source material and yet brought something new to the table as well. You can check out our original video up top if you wish to find out more about them, but I reckon you're going to see these guys crop up in our other videos and stories too in the fullness of time. Anyway, let's focus on today's experiment we have for you. So, Haverok and I were having a little chat one day. We often talk about these kind of things, and we thought that we should give our Build-a-Baddie series a little bit of a comeback, but this time with some new twists. We are going to be designing new villains and minions, but this time around, we aren't going to be making it easy for ourselves. We're going back to the beginning. We wanted to start it off by mainly focusing on the original series, the original Dragon Ball. Free from the rigours of screaming for hours and key attacks being the going gimmick. No, these characters that we're going to be talking about today will have more going for them, not just in traits and techniques and who they are, but also in personality. Maybe in future videos we might move on to the likes of Z, but for now, let's give the first series more love. When we cast our eyes back to the original Dragon Ball from 1984 and 1986, it had a surprisingly wide array of villains, starting with of course Emperor Pilaf and ending with the likes of King Piccolo and the encore that was the likes of Piccolo Jr., his son. Already we have a problem. We have quite a strong roster of foes already. Where on Kami's lookout could we slot newcomers in? Arguably, the easiest way to add a villain to the already impressive stack of antagonists and evildoers of the OG Dragon Ball world would be to expand upon one of its existing organizations. One that has tons of people in it. The Red Ribbon Army. Well, there we go. It's not even that out of the ordinary either, since they do already have a pretty wide representation of literally colourful characters. Seriously, we just need to have a think about which colours haven't been mentioned yet and we can head off down the pub. Sorted. Donezo. But to start things off as we mean to go on, we came up with some further high-ranking officers of the Red Ribbon roster. We have the combo of Rear Admiral Amber and her right-hand man, Captain Obsidian. So okay, we've got an alternative to orange and black. Stop it! You can notice that both of these names are connected to both colours and gems. You see, we wanted to make this nomenclature all the more intriguing and all the more logical for characters that will come out later in the series. You will flip when you find out who they are. Not only would this fit them with the army itself, but also with Lapis and Lazuli, the true names of androids 17 and 18. Are you getting it? We really like this. That's right. We're going to be looking into the past and initial rumblings of 17 and 18's parents. The ones that were conspicuously absent from the show. Well, allow us to fill in the gaps for you, Shueisha and Toriyama, because you're clearly not gonna. We would introduce Amber and Obsidian in the middle of the saga and have it so that they had just gotten married and had 2 babies not that long ago. Twins. Them of course being Lapis and Lazuli. As the 2 of them would be very little at this time in the story, of course neither of them would be able to remember their parents specifically and who they were, and it would give Gero some sense of credibility about choosing these 2 for his experiments with the Infinity Engine. Because out of all the children, orphans and vagrants that he could have kidnapped over the years, he picked Lapis and Lazuli. Granted, we find the original idea of Gero preying on delinquents whom nobody would have missed to be quite sinister already, and in keeping with his character. But having Gero pounce on kids of people he might have known and worked with in some kind of twisted delusion of grandeur? Oh, that's kind of enticing as well. We've chosen the rank of Rear Admiral for Amber to reflect not only her high status within the army, and her naturally being away on naval missions, but it would also reflect the whole boat thing that 17 has. How he just seems to love boats and life out on the ocean waves. I mean, seriously, he and Jotaro would get on like a house on fire. Ocean men. How would these 2 have met, Amber and Obsidian? Well, easy. Since the 2 of them are both in the seagoing division of Commander Red's business, They would have both been commissioned to be on the same ship. These two would be naturally searching the sea for Dragon Balls using their impressive battleship, with Amber being the brains and Obsidian the brawn of the entire operation. Obsidian would be quite the dutiful underling to whom Amber would take quite a liking to. Despite him being usually quite straight-laced and intense in terms of personality, the pair of them would have something in common that broke down the barrier between them, and that is their love of animals. Again, a 17ism. Since we would be going down that particular avenue of conjecture, we would also include some animals on the ship. A pair of Dobermans as Obsidian's beloved pets, showcasing his link with nature in a manner fitting to him and giving him some form of soft spot to which Amber would relish in, herself adoring animals, sort of like Colonel Violet's love for monkeys. In the case of the battleship and its involvement in the plot, it would of course be picked up by the fledgling Dragon team, and end up being destroyed by Goku in the process. However, he would ensure the safety of the doggos, giving Goku some redeeming qualities. I mean, come on, he's not just going to take down an entire ship and then not rescue the doggos because the doggos are life. That boy can't be all bad if he chose to say pets. However, despite their love for each other, Amber and Obsidian would of course have to keep their relationship a secret, because they are high-ranking officers. They'd only be slightly alluding to it amongst the crewmates, whom respected their privacy, given how effective they were as commanding officers. They got inspiration. They inspired the crew. They loved them. So they would stand by them always. They would never tell the likes of Commander Red about this potential vulnerability in his senior consortium. We also think that their personalities could reflect the more professional and straight-laced versions of their children, pre-redemption of course. Yes, they are still evil people when compared to the average person, but they're not pure evil, like most original Dragon Ball villains. They have some sort of goodness in there somewhere. As for the storyline, we could have it that one of the Dragon Balls could have been found resting on the seabed. It's perfectly logical, it could easily happen. When discovered by Bulma's Dragon Radar, it would mean that Goku, Bulma, and Krillin this time would have a race against time between themselves and, naturally, the Red Ribbon Army to get the magical wish-granting orb from them. And oh yeah, it would also get the likes of Bulma to showcase a new craft, a capsule corp submarine. And of course, our heroes would be the first ones to find it, given the fact they're just 3 people, and that means they can move about quite quickly and make decisions much faster, unlike the more cumbersome and more red tape collective of Commander Red. But after a pretty tough, intense and exciting underwater fight with Obsidian, and of course his diver squadron, Krillin would come out as the unfortunate one, having been captured along with the Dragon Ball. This would leave Bulma and Goku being the ones having to improvise a way to get both their friend and the Dragon Ball back, because the villains would have destroyed or stolen Capture Corp's submarine. The two would have to also rely on help from the likes of marine creatures and free Krillin from the battleship. We would then get a climactic showdown on the ship itself, where we have Goku showcasing his power against countless naval crew and machines, and naturally would have its ending with the battleship's destruction. Now, if you're thinking that both of the lovebirds would make it out alive, think again. For the sake of tradition, the Admiral will go down with her ship, with Obsidian being unable to leave her alone. The two would perish, but together, embracing one another, hoping that the twins that they had given birth to would have a brighter future in front of them, hoping that one day they would avenge them. But there is a glimmer of hope. The last thing they see before the ship goes down is Goku rescuing Obsidian's dogs. At least that twerp had some sense of mercy, their last thoughts being, yeah, that's a bit serious and dark for early Dragon Ball, isn't it, Masako? Yeah, you might have a point there. So, to ensure that this video has some sort of comedic value and uptone, let's add some levity here, yeah? After all, something that the first series has in spades is comedy and humorous characters. The first series of Dragon Ball is full of those types of baddies who are more on the fun side of things, like Monster Carrot. Need I say more? But yeah, the very definition of this type of character was, and will always be, the OG antagonist, the very first one that we see in the manga and show, Emperor Pilaf. And for a pretty prominent character in Dragon Ball, we know very little about him outside of being an emperor, somehow, and he's blue. So maybe, in order to add some fun and some more filler shenanigans, let's build upon his story and add someone that's related to him. Yeah, we're gonna give him a family member to interact with, and possibly give him some kind of hard time in the familial sense. Introducing Pilaf's older brother, Kebul. Huh? How is that connected to Pilaf, I hear you ask? If you're from Indonesia, you might get it. He is named after nasi kebuli, an Indonesian variation of Pilaf. I think you can probably see where we're going with this. Yes, Pilaf has some very bitter connections with his elder brother. As is typical with these tropes, Kebul would be generally more successful than Pilaf, the one that got everything in life, as Pilaf would describe to everyone in the same room as he. Bitter much? Kebul would be the smooth talker, the more assured one, the taller one, mocking his brother's emperor title. Yes, brother, you sit in your little desert castle and wallow. Would Kebul be a ruler too? Well, of sorts. However, his empire is more of a financial one. Kebul instead would be winding up as a businessman, owning a vast network of hotels. He would be a very good one too, and far more devious and discreet than his loudmouth sibling. To integrate him into the story, we would have him pretending to be a good and upstanding citizen, offering Goku and his friends a free stay in his hotel. All of this, of course, located not too far from Pilaf's desert castle, right before they would have decided to summon Shenron, having gathered all 7 Dragon Balls in the first time around. In reality, things wouldn't be as they would seem. The hotel, having initially proven to be quite hospitable and comfortable, would over time start to show its true colours. It would consist of many traps and contraptions, some obvious and others not so much. Naturally, this would attract Pilaf's attention, and he would try and sniff out the Dragon Balls for himself in one last-ditch effort. Then, seeing that Kebul was involved, this might call for a truce between him and Goku, requiring our heroes and Pilaf's gang to work together. Kebul would of course steal the Dragon Balls, but not to use for himself. Oh no. He sees greater value in the objects themselves. This being the time, remember, that the Dragon Balls had been used before. People thought that these balls were just relics, precious gems. Kebul would capitalise also on their legend of wish granting, assuming them to be just fantasy. He would auction the wish on them, attracting the attention of other evildoers and gang members. His plan would be plain and simple. Sell the wish to the highest bidder, and then skedaddle. Him having no clue initially that these balls actually worked. In short, he's planning to scam people out of money. He would eventually be taken down by Goku and Pilaf though, with the Dragon Balls taken back from him and no other evildoers getting their wish, real or otherwise. And after the whole ordeal is done and dusted, we would of course have a comedic scene of angry mobs and criminals chasing Kebul into the desert after not delivering on his promise. Yeah, it's a short and sweet little story with a minor villain, but it would enrich the story for a more well-known character. Now, we've gone pretty wild with making these characters related to existing ones, but truth be told, the original Dragon Ball era is actually the easiest way to enhance existing characters with little to no fuss, since there wasn't really much going beforehand. So that's why the last villain slash henchman we would like to introduce to you today will be no different. Enter Glockenspiel, a demonic mutated child of King Piccolo. What? Demon Clan Namekians are awesome! Even though they aren't really exactly sensical nowadays in the modern Namekian sense. So, we would make Glockenspiel a two-headed being, alluding to the later Namekian fusion. One of their heads would be brutish but simple, and the other one very cultured but cruel. Classic. We would give them wings and a double-split tail that they would use as a weapon. And Glockenspiel's biggest gimmick that he would have would be the ability to hypnotize their opponents and catch them by surprise. This would require both Tenshinhan and Yamcha to join forces to defeat them, with Tenshinhan keep Kohoing the beast from a distance to interrupt the hypnosis, and Yamcha Wolfang punching them up close. Yes, we changed the word, why do you think? We would add them into the Demon King Piccolo saga in order to give Yamcha and Tenshinhan a chance to also show how in sync they would become in later series, and giving them a major beast to destroy. In short, something to do. Also, don't tell me that the prospect of having a character named Glockenspiel in Dragon Ball doesn't sound appealing to you. And here you go, the end of the first part of this new series. We hope that you folks liked it, as the next part will take us to each Dragon Ball Z saga. We also promise that not all of those baddies will be related or family members of an existing character. We'll try and be more creative. For this one though, I think this felt topical, but fear not. We have plenty of ideas for Z, GT, and Super, and we can't wait to share them with you in the future. But what do you folks think? Do you like Amber, Obsidian, Kebul, and Glockenspiel? Do you feel like we could have gone further with these ideas? Leave a comment below, and let's get this discussion going. And I will see you in the next video. Catch you later!